Just a couple of days ago, a YouTube channel by the name of Christopher Turner randomly uploaded about 4.5 minutes of gameplay of what looks like to be a Mandalorian game. What looks like a third-person over-the-shoulder game, much like Jedi Fallen Order. This unnamed Mandalorian game seemed to cover a lot of combat which was primarily focused on the blaster. And when we shift over to the exploration side of the game, we can see the Mandalorian use the grappler to get from platform to platform. But there's a lot more than just gameplay. We have a fully fledged menu with options, very detailed and relatively polished UI, as well as a lot of sound design that revolves around voice acting too. But is this random 4.5 minutes of Mandalorian gameplay real? Or was this a fan-made game that was uploaded and accidentally mistaken as a possible official Star Wars game? And in this video, we're going to give you that answer by breaking down everything from animations, voice lines, as well as using my past experience in game development to give you a pretty definitive answer. But before we jump into it, if you love everything Star Wars and gaming alike, why not join our EcksToo Discord? We have chat rooms and tournaments for games like Star Wars Empire at War, Star Wars Squadrons, and eventually Halo Infinite. So whether you're looking to team up with someone in Squadrons or go against someone in Empire at War, be sure to join the Discord. I'll link it in the pinned comment down below. But with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. So the video in question goes by the name PXL with two sets of random numbers. Whilst I couldn't find any information regarding the use of PXL or the second set of numbers, it's very obvious the first set of numbers is a date, that being 2021-08-17. Doesn't really tell us much besides the fact that when this video was uploaded. But getting straight into the video, we are presented with a fully fledged menu for the Mandalorian game. Nothing special here besides the continue, load a specific chapter, start a new game, and options. So whilst this particular part of the video doesn't stand out, it also provides our biggest clue on whether this is a fan-made game or something genuine. The 3D model of Grogu on the right side of the screen seems to be an original 3D model and not lifted from a place like Sketchfab or TurboSquid. Whilst this information would really help the argument that this is something genuine, it really doesn't. Compare this model to an actual on-set puppet of Grogu. He comes across as very thin and tall compared to his short fat version in The Mandalorian. These off-model variants are generally unacceptable when it comes to AAA game making. Disney has plenty of assets that 3D developers can use for reference when creating their own original models for games like these. But that's not all. We see a lot of clipping in Grogu's scarf area, where his robe turns inside out to show the fluffy interior. A lot of the polygons are just crashing into one another, causing clipping. Whilst the head model and the fur on top is pretty impressive, the end result is very much likely to be that the 3D artist has taken a Grogu head from a different model and just stitched it onto a custom-made body. This is why the Grogu model looks so tall and thin, because the neck is so long thanks to the elongated scarf, and explains why we see a really on-model Grogu head but a really off-model body. Next up, we see the person playing the game running through all of the menus. They don't touch anything in the options, they just leave it be, which is very much likely to suggest that none of it's been coded. Besides that, the only thing left in this part of the video is the music playing in the background, and this is a really big giveaway because the music being used is actually lifted from a YouTube video, that being The Mandalorian's main theme guitar cover by Beyond the Guitar. I'm not going to play these just in case of copyright, but if you want to compare the two, we hear a lot less reverb in the video format because we're seeing a recording of a screen, and that recording of the screen loses a lot of the professional reverb that the original song has. So far it's not looking pretty good for our mysterious Mandalorian game, but let's move on to much more impressive parts of the video, and that being the gameplay. The transitioning between menu to loading screen and then into a mission is actually really well done. It's those small polishes like giving hints during loading screens that kind of differentiates it between a fan-made game and a real one. Believe it or not, this was the part of the video that threw me off the most, because many fan-made games tend to try and focus a lot on the gameplay hook rather than the general polish of a menu or a loading screen. The animation to the lights moving from the bottom to the top of this lift elevator when you begin mission 4 is actually really impressive. Again, it's small oddities and details like this that makes a lot of people believe that this is a real game. As soon as we come out of the lift, one of the first things that stands out is the Mandalorian model itself. The metals of this model are extremely chromatic, and the reflections look fantastic in an Imperial interior. So just to be clear, if we can find out that this model was ripped from Sketchfab, it will strongly support the idea that this is a fan game. Now, my first thoughts came to me because of the cloth physics on the Mandalorian's cape. When wearing the backpack, the cloth goes to the left side of the body and it looks a little bit weird. This was very present in Alex Poe's The Mandalorian mod for Jedi Fallen Order. Everything seemed to kind of fit together until I saw some of the skeletal bones of the rig have some form of gravity affecting them. And in the Jedi Fallen Order mod, it can be as small as the gun holder on the right side of the model. That's supported by the fact that the Jedi Fallen Order mod version has this metal brace on the character's left knee. This is not present in this mysterious Mandalorian gameplay. Next, I believed it could have been the very impressive 3D model by Connor Jordan on Sketchfab, but in the mysterious gameplay, here is the only time you get to see the front model of the Mandalorian. And judging by the knee pads, it's just not the same model, so maybe it is an original one. It's really hard to tell because the quality of the video is not that good, and all of these Mandalorian models are almost perfect to a T, that it's very difficult to try and identify what model is what. Not to mention that the developer has made the chromatics on the metal of this model extraordinarily high, and you do that in engine rather than on the model itself, so it can kind of make it pretty difficult to identify where this model came from. Another feature that's extremely impressive and doesn't scream fan game at all is actually the in-game menu for selecting what weapon you want to use. Rather than taking you out of the game into a different menu where you can select which weapon you want to use, which a lot of fan games tend to do, by the way, here we actually see the camera zoom in just over Mandalorian's left shoulder, and here we can see he can use the blaster pistol, the grappler, the Beskar spear, flamethrower, jetpack, grav charge, and whistling birds. Whilst we don't see anything but the blaster pistol, the grappler, and the flamethrower, this menu alone is extremely impressive for something like a fan game. The only thing that doesn't work very well is the awkward camera change. The reason this looks so clumsy is because the camera accelerates from nothing and it makes it very abrupt and unpolished. Usually this issue could be buffered out by adding a very strong ease in animation and ease out when going in and out of the menu. And it's extremely small changes like these that make a huge difference in terms of polish when making a game like this. And whilst we're on the topic of animations, let's look at the Mandalorian's animations. These animations are exceptionally good. And so good, in fact, it makes you question the quality of the animations compared to the quality of the gameplay itself. Some people believe that this was actually a GTA 5 mod, just based off the movement of the character and the crosshairs, but we can disregard that pretty quickly because we know where these animations came from. And this is where I come to the biggest argument that this is not an official Mandalorian game. All of the Mandalorian animations that you're seeing here is not done by the developer themselves. It comes from a package called ALS, otherwise known as Advanced Locomotion System. Character animation is extremely difficult and time consuming. From shifting from an idle animation and blending it into a running animation, it requires a lot of in-depth knowledge on how Unreal Engine works. And whilst this has been streamlined a lot more thanks to blueprints in Unreal Engine, it's much better as a junior developer to just take something off the shelf that will cover the animations for you. If you take a look at this Advanced Locomotion System demo, the animations are identical. Usually for a AAA game being built in Unreal Engine like Jedi Fallen Order, developers will add their own type of animations and mocap into their games. That's why Cal Kestis looks so unique when he runs, walks, and stays idle. If this was to be an official Mandalorian AAA game, you just wouldn't do something like this. It's just too entry level. And that's no diss on people trying to learn the engine and using a system like this. You should, because it's absolutely incredible. But people use these type of engines to speed up prototyping for a game. Now, the argument you could use against me here would would be, well, this is a leak. It's not a beta, it's not even an alpha, it's just a proof of concept that was never meant to be shown to the public. And whilst it's difficult to counteract that argument, my best bet is just looking at the person who uploaded the video. Christopher Turner, who uploaded that video, is actually a teacher for game development in Unreal Engine. All of the videos he uploads are tutorials on how to use the application, all the way to reviewing his students' work. And this is where I think we come to a conclusion. The reason we're getting this awkward camera shaking recording of this supposedly leaked footage isn't being leaked at all. Christopher, who uploaded this, never stated that this was an official Star Wars game. My best bet is he's recording a student who is playing his final project he made for class, and it was so well done, he decided to record his students' work for his YouTube channel. The only people who said that this was a supposed leak of real Mandalorian game footage are the journalists who made the story themselves. They found this video and then believed it to be real. But many game journalists aren't game developers, which is why we get official game developers from Sumo Digital saying that this is just a fan game. So overall, my conclusion is that this is 100% a fan game, a very impressive one, mind you, and it just boils down to the fact that there is such little Star Wars game news out there right now that anybody will take the smallest crumb of info and twist it into something far bigger than it actually is. There is a lot more I could dive into on this video, but at that point I just think it's nitpicking and it won't have any use for me to say it. So this is where I'll pass the question over to you guys. Do you believe that this is an official pre-alpha gameplay of an upcoming Mandalorian game? We do know one is in the works and probably won't be out for another couple of years, so it is possibly feasible. Or do you believe it's fan made, or even believe in my own theory? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I'll read all of them and I'll get back to some of you as well, especially anyone here that's an Unreal Engine 4 developer. It'll be really interesting to hear your thoughts and opinions. But besides that, guys, I've been Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.